My mom read it just yeah, it's just like you read it. So like, yeah,
I didn't check about that.
no, it's about a blind girl in Korea. They can listen to it. I can
Maybe that'll read it too.
but it's really good. I mean, the way it's written, it's beautiful. It's like 5 pages. What's it called? That's huge for you. All the light you cannot see.
Were you more of an article girl, like Twitter article?
Headlines.
Yeah, exactly. News feeds.
That's Lena.
I'm an old math teacher and I have a true math mind.
You do. Hence your check on your rubric, and I'm like, right.
Give me a bulleted list and I'm good.
So, Jessica, did you do the presentation and this?
Well, I just kind of made notes on the presentation
Oh, okay.
because it was easier for me to focus on that during it and then reflect on the orange later. I don't know.
I agree. I like your message.
Your necklace and earrings are very cute.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
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 Good morning or good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Hi. Hello.
Good luck.
Y'all look so nice.
Here.
Oh,
You ready? Okay. Hi, my name is Jacqueline, and I am the comprehension specialist of Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost is a biblical poem about man's first disobedience and sin, with sin, redemption, and war. Satan, once an angel, disobeyed God and was banished to chaos, which later became hell, Satan's prison. Satan disobeyed God and persuaded other angels to join him in the throne of heaven. At first, Satan and other angels wanted to go and ask forgiveness. That's where redemption comes in. But God said no to Satan and his followers because he did it on his own free will. When paradise was created, God made man and he created woman, and God said to Adam to not eat from the tree of knowledge. Later on, he told Eve. And Satan went to paradise disguised as a lower class angel who went to Eve and told her and led her to temptation to eat from the tree of knowledge. Eve ate from the tree so they were not pure, so they were thrown out of paradise. Heaven and hell went to war. The story is basically control over the earth.
My name is Hosea, and the main theme of Paradise Lost is man's first disobedience. A couple of symbols throughout the book is the snake that tempted Eve to eat from the Garden of Eden, and when Satan turned into the good angel, it's kind of irony because he ended up turning into a bad angel after he got kicked out of heaven.
My name is Jordan Rivera, and I'll be talking about the reading calendar, which would take approximately about 5 weeks to complete the novel and analyze it. With week 1, books 1 through 4 should be completed with the Frayer model, and what the Frayer model will be is the kind of just the typical vocabulary that throughout the novel, and with the vocab, you can add pictures and just kind of help you out with the difficult vocab throughout the novel. And week 2, you should be finished with books 5 through 8, and with the Frayer model, still kind of completing the Frayer model, work on the graffiti activity. And the graffiti activity is where you represent major concepts throughout the novel, which consider one sentence, one inference, one drawing, and one conclusion. By week 3, you should have books 9 through 12, still continuing on the Frayer model vocab and the concept map over the novel and the Bible. Concept map will consider brainstorming ideas, identifying specific content, analyzing information throughout the graphic representation. And week 4, we have an activity which we call the small fish bone activity. What this is will be this will be the isolated seeds, main driving point, and all the little details which help guide the main point for someone. And then on week 5, with week 4, you'll also start the museum of the novel, which will go on through week 5, and that'll become like a compare and contrast novel. And here's Leslie.
Hi, Leslie Ranch. The activity that would be with text 3A would be the prayer model. The students have to look at the structure and word choice that results in this. For example, why did we choose this word? What does this word mean? And did you choose to write because it rhymes? The next activity that benefits Text 5A is the museum. Students are asked to look at different themes and modernize it, picking up those themes to make them understand the importance they have to the plot. The last two activities, which are the fishbone and the concept map, best go well with figure 19B. Both these activities are about brainstorming and connecting ideas, which help the students be able to work.
My name is Brian Rodriguez, and I am the assessment person for this. We picked 2 main sections for Paradise Lost to assess on. The first main section is from book 1, and it's mainly about how Satan expresses the idea that it is better to rule in hell than serve in heaven. And the second main section that I picked, it is when Archangel Michael tells stories about the future to Adam and Eve. And we chose these sections to assess on mainly because they express the main themes of Paradise Lost that are expressed more vividly in these sections than in other parts of the book. And the essays that go with these questions are mainly just 3A, 5A, and figure 19. That's for the assessment.
Okay, my name is Phoenix Lopez, and if you guys have any questions, I'm going to answer them.
On the museum, where you have the students compare to modern day, would those sections be assigned, or students choose the same?
We would think the students would choose them, just because that way they can have basically freedom.
Can you give an example of what one of those might look like?
Like the museum.
Mm-hmm.
We used for another piece for English, we did it, and it's more like summarizing. Like we have like one slide had the text for the novel. We would put a little quote, or not a quote. We would just say how it would relate to modern day, and then yeah.
So what's something in Paradise Lost that you could relate to modern day?
The war between Satan, band of angels, and God. You can say that relates to, you could say the war in general, or maybe the war inside ourselves, that you want to stop, but you can't. If you want to ask for forgiveness, even within yourself, and you could say there's a reason for everything.
Can you tell us about this trifold you have here?
Yes. We have four or five words really that we think of when we think of Paradise Lost. Biblical because of all the illusions, the hardship that Satan went through within himself. He was doubting himself, wanting to ask for forgiveness. We have thought provoking because you really got to think, whether it be all the biblical stories, how everything connects together, and dismay because that's really what Satan felt. Um,
This first picture is when Satan is fallen from heaven, when his first, I guess, kind of sin towards God is rejected, is inflicted. This one right here, can you guys see? This is when Satan is still an angel, but he's turning into sort of a creature in the darkness in chaos in hell. And then this one, it looks like a Grim Reaper. It's when in chaos that death and sin and all the bad starts coming into play in the book. And this one right here is when he becomes a dark angel and is preparing for the war against God.
and we have some text evidence that we thought was pretty important that showed these words in the middle. We have different statements about what we thought about the book. And then we have some questions like, why is Satan blaming God for his sins? And really getting into detail.
So is this an example of one of your activities in your lesson plan? No.
It's just a visual representation
Okay.
of basically the overall.
And are the fishbone, the concept map, and the Freyer model like the museum activity in that students are going to choose their own things to work on?
Especially with the fair model, because that's more like one kid may know what this word means, but one kid may not. So that one kid may choose that word as opposed to the other.
So you mentioned a symbol in the book. What other literary elements would you be covering in your unit?
There's a lot of figurative language, a bunch of allusions, a bunch of metaphors, tons of imagery. Pretty much every line, I think it relates to imagery.
I think we're good, guys.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
The 1860s Russian novel Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky follows the life of Radon Razalenko. From the opening chapters to the concluding statements, Dostoevsky takes the reader on a journey filled with poverty, psychotic action, and consequences. Once Razalenko grows weary of his poverty-stricken life, he, with his misfortunate split personality, makes the rash decision to murder a pawnbroker for her fortune. However, the plot thickens as Razalenko receives an unexpected visit from the victim's sister. What was meant to be a single murder transforms into a double homicide. The stakes are higher than ever as Razalenko escapes the murder scene with his stolen fortune. So, after the murders, Razalenko becomes very ill, and his best friend Ramzumikin and a police officer is only thought to take care of him in his delirious state of mind. While still delirious, Razalenko says things that make a police. They only taught him another police officer profiler suspicious of him. And on top of all that, Razalenkov's sister Dunya and his mother are coming to visit. And Dunya has two love interests in her life. One is losing her fiance, and the other is Frederick Gaylov. And they are both bad men. They both get into arguments with Razalenko, and Dunya, being a loving and devoted sister, she calls off the wedding to Mr. Luzin. And so Razalenko, he feels kind of guilty about the murders, so he confesses to his love, Sonia, about the crimes, and Sonia tries to convince him to turn himself in. But whenever he's telling of his crimes to Sonia, Frederick Gaylov, he overhears, and so he tries to blackmail Razalenko into letting him be with his sister, but he refuses. So Frederick Gaylov, he attacks his sister Dunya, but luckily she escapes. And so after that, Frederick Gaylov goes and commits suicide. Yeah. And Razalenko turns himself in, and he spent 7 years in prison, and him and Dunya lived happily ever after. Oh, and the poster. Okay, so this is Elizabeth, and she was murdered in the corner by Razalenko, and he kills her in the corner. And this is to symbolize her fate, as if, like, when you're backed into a corner, there's no way to escape. So it is her fate that she was going to die in that corner.
Today I will be explaining the Crime and Punishment reading calendars. A reading calendar is an estimated timing of how long it should take students to read the novel, including an average number of pages read per day and how long it should take to get through each. I've developed two separate reading calendars, one for regular classes and one for creative classes. For regular classes, it should take a total of 13 days to get through the novel. They should be reading an average of 38 pages a day, which is equal to 3 chapters. Day 3, students should be completed with part 1. Day 5, students should be completed with part 2. Day 7, part 3. Day 9, part 4. Day 11, part 5. And on the 13th day, they should be finished with part 6, the final part of the novel. Next, I will be discussing the creative reading calendar. Being a creative reads at a higher level than regular students, it should take them less time to read the novel. Students should be reading a total of 62 pages a day, which is equal to 5 chapters. It should take them a total of 8 days to get through the novel. Day 2, they should be finished with part 1. Day 3, they should be finished with part 2. Day 4, part 3. Day 6, part 4. Day 7, part 5. And day 8, part 6, the final part of the novel. Next, I will be explaining the one-pager. The one-pager is one of our ancillaries, assignment 3. Okay. The one pager it should be displaying the murder scene. It should include pictures, quotes, personal statements, questions with their corresponding answers, a topic sentence, and the book's title and author. The focus of this assignment is to explain the importance of the placement of the two dead bodies. Needed to be included is a color key and the questions, which is on the back. Here we have included a proper one-pager. We've included our quotes in green, our questions in black, our title in purple, our main idea in blue, and our personal statements in red. Along with 3 symbolic pictures, the pill bottle, our main character, and a craft mirror. And then overall, we have the murder scene as our central background. The intention of this assignment is to express the unique and individual understanding each student has of the novel as they're reading. It is intended to help open the minds of other students to things that they may not have otherwise realized about the story. They can see it through other students' eyes. The connections that need to be made are connections from the book's thoughts and people's personal thoughts. Also putting visual representation to the book's verbal content. A reminder is that everything should tie together. So they all have to do with the central idea of the murder, the quotes, the questions, everything has to do with that. In conclusion, the one pager is essentially a metaphor for how students are taking in the novel. Thank you. For assignment 4, students will create 4 obituaries for both Aliona and Elizaveta Ivanov. They must include personal information about the characters and quotes from the novel. 2 of the obituaries will be written by a high-class newspaper, while the other 2 obituaries will be written by peasants. This allows students to see how biased perspectives affect the influence on the audience and makes them prove their understanding of the story with textual evidence from the novel. Also, it highlights the motive of poverty that is present throughout the book. This then forces the students to go beyond the pages of the 1860s novel and connect it with present-day issues revolving around biased opinions given by the newspaper.
Okay, for the assessments, we chose specific questions to test the readers and their understanding of the book. We decided to split the questions evenly for both sections because we want them to understand the importance of these teams and it's used throughout the entire novel. For questions 1, 2, 7, and 8, we used figure 19b so that students are aware of the text and that they can be able to make inferences with the text. For questions 3, 9, 10, 3, 9, and 10, we use figure 5a for students to analyze scenes and that they're able to explain why they contributed to the success of the overall plot. For questions 5, 6, 11, and 12, we use figure 7a. So the students are able to understand the symbolism and the reference books makes. And that gives the plot some credibility. Now for the first essay, there are several examples of foils throughout this entire book. And we want to see if the students are able to capture those foils. And we also want to see what they're able to do with those. For the second essay, we want the students to pick up foreshadowing. And we want to also want them to explain what the foreshadowing does to the overall story. Foreshadowing is always a great thing for readers to pick up since it keeps them interested in the book. Now for the final essay, Raskolnikov isn't the practical protagonist. He comes off more as like an anti-hero. And we want to see if the students are able to go beyond the text and see if they can make assumptions on how they think the story would pan out if he wasn't the anti-hero but more of the stereotypical protagonist. ma'am.
Are you ready for questions?
First, kudos for being able to pronounce those names.
We debated doing the entire presentation in Russian.
Well-
I figured that gives bonus points.
Yeah, it's a Benji. No, I mean, I couldn't say this.
So you guys have eight assignments here that the teacher could choose from, right? How did you guys decide on the assignments that you talked about today in your presentation?
We wanted to pick the two that we felt were the most important. We picked assignment number 3 since we already had the one pager. We actually created a one pager in class, but we spent time outside of school to do major improvements on it. I think we had the 3 drafts and we scrapped them all and started over again. And we wanted to do assignment 4 since it also included a different tech. It included the Tech 12C. It was a different tech. Many groups didn't use that, and we wanted to allow the students to learn something other than just 7A, 5A, and Figure 19. Those are very bland texts, and we wanted to just throw something in there that was a little more interesting.
I noticed your supplemental information about, the mental workings of a serial killer and then this insanity poem in here. How do you see those tying in, or how would you recommend using this in conjunction with your novel?
Honestly, I think most of the assignments really, and along with the extra information, I think they would work well after he commits the murder. So after part 1, really going into the psychoanalysis, really getting into the psychological aspect of our anti-hero Raskolnikov, really digging into that. I think it allowed the students to get used to analyzing the psycho part of literature. So, and it also allow them to analyze poetry within that, and also just reading articles, getting different opinions on how the hero really projects his opinions and his psychotic nature.
Well, I like how your activities kind of bring in different things, like you have the articles and the poetry, and then they have to create a scene and the obituaries with the different perspectives. I think that was very creative. Y'all do that because that's what y'all enjoy doing, and you think, or because that helps you better understand.
Yes. Having visuals. I personally am a visual learner, and I think working with my group, I have slowly, gradually learned that they are also really visual learners. And I know when I read a novel, it's hard to picture the scenes. It's hard to really get into it if I don't understand it. Reading a book from the 1860s, it's sometimes hard to really picture the scene. Like, I didn't even know the house or the room in which the murder took place was yellow until Destiny really went into it and wanted this exact scene from the murder. So visually, I think doing the scenes, even assignment 2, going into depth with the tone of the scene, I think that would it helped me really get into the literature, and I think it would help other students.
On your the 3 essays that you went over, are the students, is that something they're expected to do all 3, or do they choose from? Do they choose one of the essays? Especially the first 2. I know there's a final essay.
Yes. The first 2 are meant to be checkpoints, kind of like reading checkpoints, just to be sure they're actually reading, not just spark noting. That is one thing I feel strongly about not using spark notes and actually understanding the literature. It's not about can you look up the answers online, it's do you understand it. So that's why we bring in the foils, the foreshadowing. You have to be reading the literature to really understand that. So the first 2 will just be checkpoints to make sure they're understanding it. The teacher could look back and say, well, this student didn't really get a high grade on this. Maybe I need to focus on the foils more in class. Maybe I need to focus on the foreshadowing. And the final, by this point, since the students have already done all of the assignments, the teacher has made them do the 2 checkpoints. The final is just to ensure that the teacher taught everything they were supposed to and the students understand.
Makes you want to read it.
I know.
That's what we meant to do.
Thank you. I think we're done. Very good. Thank you very much.
Good job.
Thank you. Listening to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoyably.
Excellent.
Should be a teacher.
Yeah.
If you can remind me, I can do it.
Okay, I'll be reminded.